What's up, guys? Coming at you with a new format today because I don't have all these cards. But recently, due to the ban list, as you guys may very well know, Gold Pride happened to get Omega buffed. So what's important about this most recent list and the cards that most affect how good Gold Pride can be are Upstart going to 3, incredibly important for the deck. It doesn't make sense, but it's really good for the deck. And then Speedroid Terratop being from 1 to 2, just as a little bit of a consistency piece. So uh, the importance of these cards are that Upstart is actually the best starter you could have in the deck. If you open a handful of one of each Gold Pride name and then an Upstart Goblin, you can actually combo. It's the funniest thing ever. You simply activate the Upstart, and if your opponent doesn't Ash, because who ashes Upstart, then you can special summon all of your guys. And so that makes it so that you can actually play the game when you see some Gold Pride names, but none of the searcher spells, right? And then the other important card is Terror Top. So Terror Top is a free special summon if you control no monsters, and then you can also optionally search for another Speed Red card, which we're going to be using Take Tomborg. What's important for this list right here, I've got two I'm going to show you. This is the first one. This is a more pure version. Is that these two make you a Chariot Carry for free. You can just immediately go into Chariot Carry. Now, the downside is if they're playing Droll, they're playing Droll. But this deck wasn't really playing around that anyways, and so this just gives you that much more consistency. So you add on top of the fact that you get into Chariot Carry more often with the fact that you're running a 37 card deck, and this deck becomes significantly more consistent. On top of all of that, we can play Thrust because the Gold Price Start Your Engines card is just insane. And it doesn't matter how many you have set, you could run this at 3 because setting a Start Your Engines, 2 of them, you can use both. So even if they ash the first one, you've got a second one for follow up. And that's a look at the more pure variant. All right, so this is the other variant I wanted to look at, and it's Brave Gold Pride. So there's actually a lot of synergy with Brave and Gold Pride. Not to this level of Punk, but this offers you something that Punk could never offer you, and that's literally a negate. So the value of the Brave engine cannot be overstated. And so we're again using some of the same tricks from the prior list due to the semi-limiting and unlimiting of Upstart and Terratop. But now we're actually running a secondary engine of the Brave package. So instead, and then because of that, right, we can always go into Chariot Carry with the Takatomborg and Terratop, but often we can actually go into Cherubini instead. This lets us get into the Enchantress line uh, for the negate, which is pretty good. I can't lie, it's pretty good. And overall, through my testing, this deck list right here feels a little bit better, but there's caveats. One of the caveats is that the extra deck plays a little bit differently because we want to keep our token on board. We're not going into the SP/IP plays more often. But a benefit of this list is since we're playing the Enchantress and we're really just trying to get her in grave, we can actually play Celine. So, there's pros and cons. Either way, let's get into a look at how either of these deck lists would play in just a normal game state. So let's get a few test hands going. Let's start with just the more pure version of the deck. Okay, so this hand's pretty good. And it's perfect. So we're going to start by specialing the Ascended and taking our 3k so that we can... Oh, that's not 3k at all. That is 3,000 now. So what's important about this is it's both at level 7 and it makes you spend 3,000 life points so that you can... they can't negate that. That's the important part. This lets you then special summon all of your gold prides. And so since we saw the Ascended Defender and Leon, we actually going to make the Baron play for free. We haven't searched. We haven't done anything that they can really negate here. So this means that when we use either of these cards, we're completely free to do it. So we're going to start with the Upstart. See what we get into. They gain 1,000. Dope. Unfortunately, we draw the Terratop here. It's kind of dead right now, but if we get into an advanced game state, it's very good follow-up. But now our next play, of course, is special the carry and go and grab the trap, because the trap is ridiculous. And then we just set the trap, and we pretty much just pass from here. And so if they did end up using, or if we had to use the Baron because they ash the carry or from the carry, we can tag it out into Leon during the opponent's turn so that we still have a play. The play would be to summon into the Star Leon and pop one of their cards, gain the attack so it's not really destroyable, and then we can summon out the Baller and absorb 3. If they don't, which is really what we want to see, then we've got the Baron to protect the Start Your Engines. This guarantees it goes off, and so you hit their first important summon, and you bring out the Roller Baller, because we're playing 3 of him, and then we just send him to grave. And then from here, if we had to use our Baron there, we had to whatever. We just turn these 2 into Pinballer, absorb 2 more of their bodies. They can't negate that. So this is almost always going through. And then finally, if we need to, we droll. If they somehow clear our board, we're fine because we actually have Terror Top. That's literally perfect follow-up. Because let's say they do clear our board, right? So now it's our turn again because they didn't kill us. We can special summon the Terror Top because we have no monsters. And then Terror Top can go ahead and grab us the Take Tomborg. If they droll us here, we cry, but they're not going to because they don't have it anymore. We can then special summon the Take Tomborg because we have a wind. And then we overlay for the Chariot Carry. And that gets us entirely back in engine because then we use the Chariot Carry to go ahead and add in Foolish. So we grab the Searcher and we can Foolish out this guy. Why not? We're pretty low on life points at this point, so or we can be very low. So we're going to go ahead and send him to Graveyard. And then we're going to activate our Searcher, and we're going to grab Leon here, because we're going for the kill. Presuming, there's not too much going on. We'll add our Leon, and we'll take another 1,500. You'll notice that we're getting really low here. That's really good. We can't kill this turn, unfortunately, but we can get really close. We can then special summon out the Leon and the Baller. Or, not the Baller. Well, you could go Baller here if we need to clear more board space. We can go Carry here if we're trying to play that game. But what I'm going to do here, actually, is special summon out the Nitro Head. This is for follow-up on next turn where we make a Punisher that they can't out. And then the final turn, we just beat over him because we're really, really low. Unfortunately, since we special summoned with Leon, we can't go into the extra deck unless it's a Gold Pride. So we kind of just have to sit here. But, that's okay. We clear whatever we can, and then we set our Imperm because that's what we have. We go to the end phase, where this goes back to the extra deck, summons out a carry, who grabs us a trap for if for some reason the unoutable Punisher gets outed. And we even get a draw card. Terror Top is Terror Top. It's not really the draw we want. We want a hand trap there, but, you really can't control the draws. This is about as good as we're going to get. And then when it's their turn, as soon as we can, we essentially are going to use the Leon effect, and we're just going to make a unoutable, more or less, Punisher, because the Punisher is going to be exactly 8,000, assuming they haven't taken any damage. And actually, since we upstarted, it'll be 9,000. And it's very, very hard to out that kind of a Punisher. If they somehow do, they're going to be very low because they have to battle into the Punisher, and then from there, we just find our way into access code for game. So the game plan with this deck, it's pretty simple, but I think it's very powerful, and it lets you play towers, which not many decks are doing right now, so there's definitely some benefit to that. Let's take a look at the other deck list that is made good by this ban list, and this is Brave Gold Pride. Better make sure I'm playing Brave. So let's see what our opening hand looks like. This hand is a little neat. It's not crazy good for us, but we can make it work. So we start out with Better Luck Next Time, and if they don't ash it, we can grab the Cherry. And then, of course, since we've taken some life points, we can then special Carry. Carry then grabs us the trap. And then we can special summon Leon. And then we can do a few things here, right? So one thing we can do here is we can overlay for Chariot Carry. That doesn't do much for us here since we already have seen the other spell. So the best we're going to get out of that is we can Foolish a Pinballer, which is neat, but I think here what we're going to do is we're going to make Cherubini, since we've got 2 level 3 monsters. It's great, right? Isn't it? And then from here, we can Foolish out the Enchantress, which will go to Grave. And then from there, we'll activate her effect, right? So we banish it, and we add the Fateful. Or sorry, the Rite of Aramis here. Fateful's already in hand, unfortunately. Yeah, we saw both of these, which kind of sucks, but it's okay. We then summon a token, and it's kind of important you summon it to a zone that the Cherubini points to because of this effect here. It's not going to come up in all duels that you're in, but it will come up especially into Fire King, so it's worthwhile to do that. And then we'll make sure we activate this, and then we'll declare the Fateful. Yeah, this is why you don't want to see him, but there's only so much you can do with your hands. And we still make a pretty good board despite seeing some cards we really don't want to. We then discard a card, and then we declare and attach it to the token. And then we special summon out the Griffin. And then from here, actually, we can go set. And so while we don't have any hand traps here, what we do have is first a negate. Second, we have the Gold Pride that came out of nowhere. And so what this can do for us is it can special summon from the graveyard or hand. And, well, we're going to summon from the graveyard. The caveat being that our opponent also gets to special summon. But fun fact, it doesn't matter if they special summon because that's just going to be absorbed into our ball. Because most of the time, they're not making a board with too many. Like, they're not going to flood the board too many times just because they get that one extra summon. And so the way this would sequence out is we attempt to resolve this, and if they stop us from resolving your engines, then we have to use the Griffin Rider. If not, we just resolve it. And from here, we're going to summon out. Because there's 3 of these in deck. Let's actually prove it. Because there's resolve effect. Because there's 3 of these. 1, 2, and 3. It's guaranteed to be a roller baller, which will then summon out. And then we can also pretty much immediately chain this to bring out the Leon. And then we'll Leon to bring out the carry. And then we'll carry to grab another trap, which is ridiculous, right? So we've got the same play for next turn. And then we can absorb 3 of their bodies while having an Omni Negate through all that. And then, of course, during the end phase, we'll actually get a draw because all of the extra deck monsters say if you use their effect, they go back to the extra deck and summon out the little guy. So these guys would all be in grave during the end phase. We have a roller baller for next turn. We get a draw from the continuous spell because it went back. And then we get a draw for our turn. And from here, we're really just trying to find a way to assemble lethal. All right, so let's assume we have to use this because, generally speaking, Omni Negates have to be used. They're forced out very often. But we're left with this on board. We're still at less life points than our opponent. So we can do a few things. So we don't have an Enchantress in graveyard. But we can use the Cherubini effect. And it sends us costs so they can't stop us. That's supposed to be grave. So we send our Enchantress to graveyard off the Cherubini effect. And then we're going to actually link off using these 2 right here to make a Selene. And then we're going to Selene, it gains counters, and it's got enough since we have all those spells everywhere. And we're going to bring back the Enchantress. And then we're going to turn these 2 into Access Code Attacker. There he is. And then we're, of course, going to access code target the Selene so that it's 53. So currently on board, we've got 71. We need to find 1,000 points of damage somewhere. We've got it here. We can also get a token with the Enchantress in graveyard, so that's another 2k. So, yeah, general, access code OTK. And this right here, this deck, I think, might be more competitively viable. But I think both decks have their strengths, and so after this ban list, they're actually both very playable, and that makes me happy to see, as I may or may not be a heavy investor in 2 Starlight Chariot carries and a Starlight Captain carry. Either way, this is a deck I really like, and I hope gets its, 3rd wave of support like Burning Abyss did back in the day. Funnily enough, we're abusing that piece of support here. Either way, guys, I hope this can help you guys if you really wanted to play Gold Pride. Either way, keep cooking. See you next time.